Hello everyone. Today we're going to explore loops in Java, one of the most important concepts in programming. Loops help us repeat tasks and make our programs more efficient. Loops in Java are blocks of code that repeat until a certain condition is met. They automate repetitive tasks and make programs more dynamic. Over the next few slides, I'll explain the different types of loops, their syntax, and real-world applications to give you a clear understanding of when and how to use them in Java. Right finger to start, let's look at what loops really are and why they are essential. Understanding loop fundamentals. Loops let us repeat a set of instructions until a condition is met. This saves time, reduces errors, and makes code cleaner. Java mainly offers three kinds of loops: the for loop, while loop, and do while loop. Each one is suited to a different situation, depending on whether we know how many times we want to repeat something. Right finger, so let's begin with the most common one, the for loop. For loop. The for loop is best when we already know the number of times we want to repeat something. It has three parts: initialization, condition, and update. For example, if we want to print numbers from 1 to 5, we can use a simple for loop. The initialization sets the starting point, the condition checks if the loop should continue, and the update moves us forward each time. This makes the for loop perfect for controlled iteration with fixed boundaries. While loop. The while loop is used when we don't know in advance how many times the loop should run. The key thing here is that the condition is checked before every execution. If the condition is true, the loop continues. For example, if we set a variable I to 1, and run a while loop until I is less than or equal to 5, it will print numbers from 1 to 5. The loop stops as soon as the condition becomes false. This makes it useful in cases like waiting for user input or checking for updates. Do while loop. Unlike the while loop, the do while loop guarantees at least one execution, even if the condition is false. This is because the condition is checked after the code block runs. For instance, if we start with I equals 1 and use a do while loop, it will print the number at least once before checking the condition. Even if I started at 6, the loop would still run once. This makes it helpful when you want the action to happen at least once, like showing a menu to a user before checking their choice. Nested loops. Nested loops are loops inside other loops. They're especially useful for working with multi-dimensional data, like matrices or grids. For example, if you use an outer loop for rows and an inner loop for columns, you can generate all combinations of values. This is how we often create patterns or process tables of data. In Java, nested loops follow the same structure as normal loops, but the inner loop completes all its iterations for each single iteration of the outer loop. Loop control statements. Sometimes we need more control over how loops run. Java provides three important control statements: break, continue, and return. Break immediately stops the current loop and jumps out of it. Continue skips the current iteration and moves to the next one. Return is slightly different. It exits the entire method, which also ends any loop inside that method. Using these wisely helps us handle special cases and optimize performance. Loops are everywhere in programming. In data processing, they analyze large datasets. In web development, loops generate dynamic content and handle inputs. In game development, they update states, check collisions, and render graphics. In task automation, loops handle repetitive work like file processing or reports. Loops are one of the most powerful tools, making code efficient, reusable, and smart. Today we explored the basics of loops in Java and how they make coding simpler and more efficient. Thanks for watching.